Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Benediction, Scriptures, out October 16th on Nuclear Blast. This album has 12 tracks, 47 minutes in length, and this is the band's 8th full-length studio album. I was really taken back by how good, how well crafted, how well produced this album is. Top to bottom, top notch, top quality, across all different parameters. When you look, for example, at the structure of this album, I love how fluid, how dynamic it is. It really allows this album to re-engage the listener with every song. And that's not easy to do when you're talking about death metal, because this album has the ability to pound you to submission with every single song, but at the end of the track, you start to feel the energy coming back up, you start to feel rejuvenated and ready for the next battle. And then at the end of that song, instead of feeling drained and completely exhausted from the aggression, the intensity, the heaviness that the track has, you start to feel re-energized, revigorated, and then the next song comes. And this happens throughout the whole album from top to bottom. And that happens, in my opinion, based on two different reasons. One is the overall structure, and two is the sound experience that this record has to offer. From the overall structure, this is a record that doesn't have peaks and valleys. There's no pivots in the middle. You really go from point A to point B, perhaps in the shortest path possible. But along that path, there's going to be some pebbles. There's going to be some small bumps in the road. Nothing really drastic, but something that gives enough dynamic mechanisms to the record to change ever so slightly from song to song, so you don't have a sense that you've been there already. With any single track on this album, there's never that thought that, whoa, I heard a song similar to this already, or had similar attributes. No, every song sounds fresh while using the same elements, changing ever so slightly here and there in order for the record not to be broken, in order for the record to have the proper fluidity that can take you from track number 1 to track number 12, keeping you engaged, keeping you energized song after song after song, while still beating you down and submitting you with every single song at the same time. It has that duality of aspects in how it's put together. Now, from the sound perspective, this album is rich. It has a rich sound to it. And it has two motors, if you will, that are really pushing the engine that moves the album forward, and that is the drums and the guitars. I want to start off by saying that I love the drums on this record. I don't only love how they sound, I love how they were recorded and how they come across. They have so much power, they have so much strength, so much heaviness, but at the same time, the sound that they have is just outstanding. It really matches, it blends perfectly with how the guitars come in and what the guitars have to offer to the overall experience. So the two become really parallel to each other. They become 1A and 1B of these two motors that are pushing the record forward. The guitars are incredible. You get a little bit of everything. You get a lot of heaviness from them, grooviness, melody, and I felt that overall the heaviness that you're getting most of the time is not even caused by how heavy they are being played, but by the sound, the volume that they create on the tracks themselves. That expansion of volume makes the songs feel heavier, and it makes the guitars feel 10 times more brutal, more powerful, more aggressive. As far as vocals are concerned, this is a return for Dave Ingram, and what a return it is. I mean, this guy is absolutely outstanding. It seems to get better with age, just like a fine wine, and his vocals are the perfect outlet for the brutality, for the heaviness that this record has to offer. He matches that intensity of the drums and guitars on the vocal side, note by note. It really allows the track musically to move in one direction, and he follows that same direction with never falling behind. Just really neck and neck with the guitars and drums, pushing the songs forward, being in the driver's seat, and really allowing this record to come to life with every single song. Overall, the production values on this album, just phenomenal. I just love the sound. I love how crisp, how clear it is, and all of that doesn't take anything away but from how brutal overall this album feels and sounds. So the production values on this record are through the roof. I love it. It allows the album to be brutal, but at the same time, you're able to digest it. It's not an album that at the end of the record, you feel full, you feel like you've had enough, and you're going to put it away for maybe a day or two before you go back into it. This is an album that it re-energizes itself with every time that you listen, and it does that on a track-by-track basis and then on the overall big picture. And in my opinion, that has a lot to do with the production values and how everything came together, the mixing, the mastering, how the sound is so uniform and so captivating, and then obviously the vocals is the cherry on top. Now, as far as tracks are concerned, I want to start off with the Crooked Man guitar-driven track. I really love the guitar riff on this song. It's heavy, it's dark, it's menacing at times. It has a lot of different attributes to how it comes across. This song is very fluid, and the guitars really try to push it forward more than any other element on it. The vocals always keep at par with it, but I felt on this song that the vocals tried to keep everything controlled. They tried to restrain a little bit of the aggression and brutality that the song had. It didn't let things go overboard. It kept things down a path. It kept things very controlled, very narrowed. And that's important for a song that has some dynamic attributes to it that allows the song to have ups and downs as you're moving across it, because it changes as you're moving along. It's not a song that stays the same way or that sounds the same or it has a very linear structure from beginning to end. This is a very dynamic track from a construction perspective and musically as well. So you need something to keep things controlled from and stop it from completely falling off the rails. And I felt that the vocals on this track definitely did that. They were definitely keeping a close control over how the song was delivered and how the song comes across to the listener. Next, in our hands, The Scars, my favorite track on the album. And the reason why it's my favorite track on the album is because of the bass on this track is absolutely outstanding. The track starts off with a great bass line, and immediately as I started listening to this song, I felt that this track needs more bass as you move through it. I hope they don't just put that bass there as the intro and then completely walk away from it for the rest of the song, because that bass line was so groovy, so melodic. I just absolutely loved it. I was happy to find out that the track kept that bass hidden throughout most of the track, but it allows it every so often to come to the forefront the same way it happened as the intro. So I love this track for that. I love how much bass it has. It makes the song a lot more groovier. It still keeps the track heavy. It's still a song that has a lot of heaviness to it, predominantly more so in the drums and guitars and obviously the vocals. But that groovy bass line allows the song to go in a different direction without losing any of the characteristics that are built in within the track and the overall record. So it's a song that fits perfectly into the album, but gives you something that you haven't heard up until that point, and you're not going to hear from that point going forward. And that is a lot of bass, creating a lot of grooviness to the record, and allowing this track to feel very linear across all elements. Musically doesn't change that much going from the verses to the chorus. There's a very slight change, but very slight. But the bass keeps this track coming to life, keeps this track very groovy and moving forward. Last but not least, the Blight at the end. This one comes hot off the gates. It starts off with a high tempo, high energy, the sound and vocals, everything is just pushing forward, moving at lightning speed. It just feels relentless in its approach, and it feels like it's always coming at you in a very strong demeanor. It just doesn't slow down. It just doesn't have brakes. It's a car that's going downhill with no brakes on it. There are some slight changes as the song progresses. It's not a song necessarily that has the similar approach all the way throughout. There are some changes. You need those changes more so on the musical side in order to give the song the dynamic mechanisms of feeling like you're going up and down and not allowing the song to become monotonous or repetitive. Vocally, it's more balanced, is more equal, and that's something that you're going to get throughout this record, a very balanced vocal approach from top to bottom. There's never a lot of variations. They really don't do too much with the vocals. They just allow the vocals to be what they are, and that is a source of heaviness and a source of brutality, and that is definitely present on this track and how it's put together and how it moves. I call this song controlled aggression, because it feels like there's so much aggression, so much intensity built into it, but at the same time, it's about to erupt, but never really erupts. It's just there on the brink. It's always pushing that line, but it stays within that line, and I love that about the track, because you're always on the edge. You're always feeling like this song is about to just explode in your face, and it doesn't. It just takes you to that climatic point, but it doesn't push it beyond it. This is it. Benediction, Scriptures, on October 16th. On Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.